Welcome back, everybody. This is Dragothian. I've got another Rise of Kingdoms video for you. This is going to be the last in the full series of the best guides that I've been putting out over the last couple weeks. So we've already done infantry, we've done archers, we've done cavalry, we've done mixed, we've done siege, and now we're going to wrap it up with garrison or city defense. Best of the best pairings, best of the best talent builds. We're going to go through it all. First, I wanted to explain, before I jump into everything, I want to explain what exactly this means to you. So if you're trying to figure out who the best pairings are and the best builds are for defending your city, so you've got two options when that happens. Is somebody's rallying you, or the other option is somebody is swarming you. So you want to be prepared for the most likely situation to happen to you. Sometimes you've got a whale in your kingdom and all they do is just run around, teleport next to people and just swarm everybody. And then you've also got folks that a little bit more of an established kingdom. You don't necessarily have that situation, but you may be going to the Lost Kingdom, or you may be, based off some things that I've seen this week, you may still be fighting in your original kingdom during the eve of the Crusade event. You may be getting just rallied, and you want to be prepared for both options because the setups for both of those are a little bit different when it comes to defending your city, positioning your commanders correctly, and then there's certainly a combination of both of those. You may be rallied and swarmed at the same time. So I want to prepare you guys for how to set this up, and I'm going to tell you the why behind the what, because I want you to know what to select in which situation, because you may have both situations in your kingdom, especially if you're in the Lost Kingdom and you're starting to get towards the middle and you're progressing through the Lost Kingdom stages. Zone 2, Zone 3 are going to start opening up for you, and I want to make sure that you have what you need to be successful to defend your city if you decide that you want to take that attack, or if you get attacked while you're asleep and you don't put a peace shield up like you should. So with that being said, what do you need when you're putting together your defensive garrison commander builds, and then why are you pairing what you're pairing? So first thing that you need something that's going to give you some kind of tank ability or defense or healing. Okay, that's first and foremost, because especially if you're getting rallied and swarmed, you want as many troops in your city, and that can be anywhere from, if you're brand new, or well, not brand new, but you've been playing for just a short time, to being a couple months in, that may be 500,000 to 1 million troops ish, depending on how much you've been investing into the game and how much you've been focusing on your troop training. And then for those of you that have been playing for a long time, or have put a lot of money into the game and have put a lot of speed ups in, and winning your training day events and your Lord of Power events and all that good stuff, you may be upwards of 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 million troops. So I want to give you the reasoning behind that. If you're getting swarmed or if you're getting rallied, having a defensive build be a big part of how you strategize connecting your commanders together is a big deal, because the more troops you have fighting at any given time, the more damage or counterattack damage you're going to do to that rally or that set of swarm armies. So you want to be as tanky as possible, in the sense that you're not going to lose as many troops as you possibly could. You want to make sure that you've got as many troops as you can defending your city, and defense and tankiness is what's going to help you there. Keep your troops in the fight instead of being in your hospital, filling your hospital up. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, you want a big focus. You want a significant focus of the other half of your army to be damage dealing. So with that in mind, the biggest damages that you've got in the game right now are skill-based damages. So nuking, for some of you, some folks call it that, versus skill damage. You want to have that combination. You want to have tankiness, and you want to have heavy nuke. So when we go through these pairings of legendary combos and epic combos, feel free to intermix those two. If you're kind of in the middle of the game, you're in mid-game, and you've got some legendary commanders decently leveled up and some or all of your epics leveled up, you can mix and match with what you've got until you get the perfect pairings that we're going to go over. But in the meantime, you can at least have something very decent. But those are the two principles behind Garrison. You need tankiness and you need skill damage. That's the biggest thing. Skill damage does way more damage than troop type damage. So troop damage and then troop counterattack damage. Okay, keep that in mind. So as you can see here, I've kind of followed that philosophy with my own city. So I've got a level 60 Charles, and I'm going to show you the spec that I've got and the one that I use for him. And then we've also got YSG is my second. Now, one YSG does a crazy amount of damage, okay, from a skill damage standpoint. He also does have a 100% attack buff as well that goes a long way, that triggers every 10% trigger. He also has a 30% skill damage boost. So it's just there's a lot of stuff that goes into this commander that really makes him one of the best nukers, especially for Garrison commanders in the game. He also is a Garrison commander, so one of his skills is a Garrison talent skill. Okay? So with that being said, I went with Charles as my primary and YSG as my secondary. Let me bring up the legendary combo best of the best so that you can see it. So again, with the philosophy that we just talked about in mind, your primary should be tanky. So you want Charles or Richard as your primary because they both have Garrison, they both have defense, and they both have some form of damage negation, whether it's Charles with his 1400 shield, or maybe it's 1200. I can't remember exactly how much it is. But there's a damage shield that he provides every time his skill goes off where you're negating damage and also doing increased damage as well while it's up, which is nice. Richard obviously has the best heal in the game, bar none, and it also has a damage debuff as well attached to it, which is always great for armies coming in. So one of those two needs to be your primary commander if you've got them maxed out for Garrison talents. Okay, those are going to be your best of the best primary commander for Garrison. Now secondary, again, we just went over it. You want to have some of the best nuke in the game, the best skill damage players in the game. These four to me are the best. I would also add an honorable mention to Frederick. Frederick does have one of the highest damage nukes in the game, but it's not 100% guaranteed. And there's only two of the skills that Frederick has that would really apply here. Frederick is more of a conquering commander, so his talents are more geared towards attacking cities versus defending. And when I say talents, even skills, his skills. He's only got two skills that would apply as a defensive commander for your city. So I didn't put him on here, but he is an honorable mention if you want to kind of spin the wheel a little bit, because it's an 80% chance for his skill damage skill to go off, and sometimes that can be the difference between you getting zeroed and you repelling that rally. So you need to have consistent, constant, 100% guaranteed skill damage. That's why I went with these four. These are four of the highest skill damage commanders in the game. And really the gold standard as the second commander is going to be Minamoto and YSG. Those are the two best because of the amount of damage that they put out. With Minamoto, you've got your big primary, obviously, but you've also got the additional damage that comes off of it as well, which is really nice. That stacks up a lot when you've got a minute-long, 2-minute-long, 5-minute-long rally. That skill damage really stacks up. Where YSG comes into play is he already has one of the highest skill damages in the game, but then also if you get swarmed and he's maxed, if you have a YSG that's completely maxed out in skills, he has a circular area of effect. So you're going to not only be hitting that main rally for a ton of skill damage, but you're also going to hit all of those swarming armies for a ton of damage too. Now you're going to give them all counterattack damage whenever they're swarming you, and then you're also going to hit them with your primary nuke in the circular fan, well, circular shape I should say, every single time this thing goes off. Also, YSG has a rage regeneration piece to his skill, so that's going to make your Charles or Richard skill go off even faster and more often. And then again, same thing with YSG. That means that his AoE will go off more often. And the more that you're either shielding or healing and dealing AoE damage with YSG, that will infinitely help you out. There's no downside to that. You're going to be doing a lot better off for your city. Now I added Saladin in here, one, because he does have a really powerful nuke, especially when he's maxed. So let's go through him really quick. I want to make sure that we go over him because he's new. Not a whole lot of people have him, so I want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm talking about, because technically he's a conquering commander, and I just went over it with not with Hannibal, well, Hannibal's situation too, but with Frederick, he's not necessarily geared specifically for defense or for garrisoning your city. But the reason I kind of made him in there is because he also reduces not only, well, he does a lot of skill damage. Let's start there. But then also he has on his third skill, Bond of Fate, it says reduces skill damage taken from enemies by 30% when it's maxed. That's a big deal if you're getting rallied by a cav rally or an archer rally or a mixed troop rally or something like that. That's a big deal. That's a huge chunk of damage that you're taking away from folks that are trying to rally you or even swarm you. And then also it reduces the counterattack damage that you take as well. So it's even more beneficial. It's really a significant damage debuff to anybody hitting your city. On top of that, you've got attack and defense for your cav, which is helpful. You've got all your troops in your city, so there's not going to be a single type of troop. But with hold fast, you also have a healing effect reduction. So if somebody rallies you with an infantry rally with Richard, he's not going to heal as much, and that'll be a 40 or a 50% depending on if you have Saladin expertise. So there's a lot of crowd control type of benefits alongside of massive skill damage from Saladin that makes him one of the best, and I would put him up there as a top 3. Minamoto, YSG, and Saladin to me are my top 3 second commanders inside of a garrison because of the different things that they bring to the table. Whichever one you've got maxed out, that's the one you should be using. And once you get all of them maxed out, you can kind of pick and choose what you're going to need. If you're going to get hit with an infantry rally, it may actually make sense to go with Saladin over anybody else. If you're going to get swarmed, obviously, YSG is the choice. You're going to hit all those armies. You're going to wreck every single person that tries to hit your city, and then go run away screaming. With Minamoto, if it's a single point rally, it may make sense just to use Minamoto because of that extra additional damage that he does with his skill. I also added Double C in here because he does have a very powerful nuke. It works really, really well. And again, he's got, let me see what the other, he's got a rage restoration buff, and he's also got a heal. So again, there's benefits there besides just the nuke damage that does put Double C in the conversation. So if you have him maxed and nobody else, he's a quality commander, part of the best. To me, in my situation, picking from all these guys, I would prefer to have Charles primary, and then again, Minamoto, YSG, or Saladin secondary, depending on what the situation is. I just went over those situations and which one makes the most sense. Minamoto and Double C are kind of interchangeable in my book. Minamoto is better because of the extra skill damage that he does, but Double C is certainly in the conversation, and that's why I wanted to add him as part of the legendary combo, best of the best Garrison pairings. Okay, so that's that. I think I'll go over the Garrison defense talent build next, just so we have the pairings and build, and then the pairings and build, one for the legendary and then one for the epic. Okay, so this is my Garrison build for defense for best of the best. Now you're probably saying, why aren't you using all those Garrison talents that are in there? Those are all really good. Yeah, they are. They're really good. I would say that they're very good. I think that when you got the legendary pairings that I just talked about, 99 times out of 100, you're going to have an absolutely ton of troops in your city. And what I want to do whenever I have those pairings that I was telling you about, I want to have the most defense for all of my troops. So not just infantry, not just cav, not just archers, not just siege, all of them. And the defense tree really fits that build really well. I also want to have a ton of rage regeneration so that those skills are going off faster and faster and faster, more frequently. The more frequently those skills are going off, the more damage you're reducing and the more damage you're putting out to whatever's attacking you. I also want to enhance as much as I can with just the garrison, not necessarily the watchtower, because that tends to go down fairly quickly. Also, the wall tends to go down fairly quickly. I wanted to focus on as much garrison defense and damage as possible, and that's where this build comes into play. You're going to hit all of your defensive stuff. You're going to get loose formation. You're going to get testudo formation. You're going to get balance. You're also going to get 3 out of the 5 of the very final defensive skill. It was either take 2 points out of either a rage regeneration or impregnable on the garrison tree, and I just didn't want to give either one of those up for a skill that was a 10% chance, or not 10% chance, but it only activates whenever you're below a certain threshold. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to get there because of the build and the combination of commanders that I've got. So with that in mind, I wanted to have it in case I needed it. If I really start to get like double and triple rallied with swarm and all that, that will definitely come in handy and start really rapid fire machine gunning those skills off. But for the rest of the time, which is more of the rule, not the exception, this is the best build that I've come up with where you can have very tanky troops. And then again, when you pair this build with somebody who's a skill damage commander, it goes a long way because you're generating a ton of rage, an absolute ton of rage. So this is my best of the best build for defense, okay? And again, the 2 best primary commanders that I listed on the previous pairing screen were Charles and Richard. This applies for both. They all have the same talents available, so this would apply for both best of the best, okay? Let's go into the epic combos. Now, before I do, don't get freaked out by how many commanders I have on the screen, because really they do tend to be interchangeable. Okay? The reason I say that is because we're going through the same premise. The problem is there is no defense epic commander. There's no commander that has the defense talent tree that is an epic commander. So this is what I came up with. I know there's a lot here. Let me roll through it with you. What you're trying to do as an epic pairing, and again, as I said earlier in the video, if you've got 1 legendary and 1 epic, use the knowledge I just said about having a defensive tanky build or a defensive tanky commander and a nuke high skill damage commander as a pair. If you've got a legendary on one of those and an epic on another, pair it up with that in mind. Okay? This is for if you don't have any legendary commanders that are halfway decent or halfway leveled up, and you need to use 2 epic commanders to save your city and defend your city. This is where this conversation comes into play. There's a lot to go into, but again, the premise is going to be the same. You want tankiness and you want damage, skill damage. Okay. So what I tried to do, with the exception of Kusunoki on the right side, I've got all garrison only commanders on the left side, because you're going to want to utilize the garrison tree because you don't have access to that defense tree anymore. Okay, so with that in mind, all 4 on the left are garrison and skill damage, or in Yulji's case, attack tree commanders. Now, the mastery guide that I did before this video was Yulji, and I did put up a garrison talent build for Yulji. So if you want to see that one, go check out my Yulji Mastery Series guide, and you will be able to get the garrison talent build there. I will also be uploading all of this stuff into my Discord as well. I'll put the Discord in the link below so you guys can get a hold of it. So the premise behind this, again, defense and nuke. You can actually, with using the garrison talent path, you can actually get a little bit of tankiness from that garrison talent path the farther down that you go. It tends to apply more towards the watchtower and the wall at the beginning, and then you start to get more into the garrison itself as you go through the tree. And I'm going to show you that talent build here in just a moment so you can kind of see what that looks like. But with this in mind, Herman's got a really, really good combination skill for garrison. So does Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu's got the garrison talent, or I'm sorry, the garrison skill. Also, he's got a defense, a damage reduction skill as well. So the combination of those two make him actually one of the better primaries, because he also has garrison and skill on the talent trees. Yulji also has a very solid garrison skill in his set, and then with using the attack tree as well as the garrison tree, that makes for a lot of really good troop damage. But again, like I said, you want as much boost to nuke as possible, especially without having a legendary defensive commander. Pelagius is actually one of the best. And the reason I say that, so when we go to Pelagius, and I'm not showing you on the screen because I want you to see the pairings, but let me read through his garrison talent. You've got a garrison and a watchtower attack bonus. And what did we say before? We want as much damage and as much defense as possible. And if you can get double damage, one for your garrison, which is your troop damage, and one for your watchtower, which is also a pretty high damage while it's up, that's a 7% damage boost when it's maxed. It's very, very solid. And again, with Sun Tzu, what really works really well, you've got a garrison troop damage reduction by 7%, so there's the defense. And then you've also got a damage taken reduced by 10%. So those two things stack. Those would be very beneficial for you on the tanky side of things. And again, Sun Tzu is a great nuker. He's got a 5 AoE target AoE in the fan shape. So he's going to hit, if you get swarmed, he's going to hit the rally and maybe 2 or 3 other armies that just start to hit your city. You're going to be in really good shape with Sun Tzu because he's going to damage everything. He's going to generate a ton more rage, and because he's also got the rage regeneration as well. Most of these commanders have some form of rage regeneration, rage reduction. Herman, of course, has the ability to push a second away on a skill from the opponent that is attacking you, assuming that he hits them. So if he's hitting the rally, that'll hit the rally. If it's hitting one of the ones that's swarming, it'll hit the one that's swarming. All 4 of these commanders are really solid as primary because of all that information I just gave you. They all have benefits. I personally would rank Sun Tzu as primary, probably the best. I would then go to Herman, then Pelagius, and then Yulji would be my 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now again, you can do Herman primary and Sun Tzu secondary, or vice versa. You can do Sun Tzu primary with Pelagius secondary. It's not going to hurt you. Okay. And then same thing for Kusunoki. The reason I put him as a secondary is because I really don't. It would work. I like the other one's defensive talents a little bit better. You could put Kusunoki as primary and you'd be just fine. The other thing is that I ran out of room on the left side. So you can really use him as primary or secondary. And then same thing with any of these. You can use them as primary or secondary. Now on the secondary side, so on the right side, I've got Osman, which is one of the best epic nukers in the game because you get so much nuke damage from his primary, and you get the double nuke on the back end whenever somebody else has used a skill too. So not only does the primary commander's skill going off hit an extra nuke from Osman, but also his own nuke causes an extra hit from Osman. So tons of nuke damage from Osman, not a bad problem to have. He doesn't have any garrison talents or skills, so you would truly, if you added him in there, it would strictly be just for the nuke damage, and that is it. Boudica, same thing. She does have a rage regeneration thing as well as a nuke. Let me make sure there's rage regeneration too, because I always forget. Yeah, rage regen as well as nuke. She also has a heal as well. So there's a little bit of everything in there to make Boudica as a secondary nice. And the reason those two are secondary alongside of Baybars and Joan is because they don't have the garrison talent tree. So that's the reason why they would be second. Otherwise, they could be first as well. Again, we just talked about Kusunoki. He could be primary or secondary. I just don't like his garrison skill as much as the other 4. That's why I kind of made them primary, just to make it easy on you guys. But you could use him as a secondary or a primary. It will work just fine. Baybars, very good AoE nuker. He's also got the 5 AoE spread, just like Sun Tzu has. You could pair up Sun Tzu and Baybars, and if you get swarmed up, whoever's in front of you on that attack is going to get annihilated with AoEs. As long as you're not getting swarmed as a T4 or a T3 by a T5, you should be in really good shape. You're going to get tankiness. You're going to get nuke. Sun Tzu's skill damage increase affects Baybars as well. And again, really good pairing that way, really good synergy. Now, I also added Joan in here. She doesn't have a nuke. She doesn't have the garrison talent tree. She doesn't have any kind of defensive skill path. But what she does have is a buff that not only heals, right? No, not heals. Does it heal? It gives you rage regeneration. I know that. I can't remember if it heals or not. Yeah, she has a healing factor. She has a healing factor that has a 10% chance to trigger. Lost my mind for a second. So she has a heal, but her buff affects all the troops in your city. So if you're defending your city, you're going to have all 4 types of troops in your city. That means that you're going to have infantry, archers, cavalry, and siege all fighting on your behalf to defend your city. With Joan's primary skill, you're going to get a infantry bonus to health. You're going to get a defensive bonus to cavalry, and you're going to get a 30% attack bonus to archers. You're also going to generate 50 rage, and you've got a heal, and you've got an additional attack bonus that applies to everybody as well. So there's a lot going on there for Joan to make her as a possibility for a secondary commander. I think that you're going to miss on the nuke, and if you're getting swarmed, this may help a little bit more than if you're getting directly rallied. If you're getting directly rallied, though, Joan's probably not the best because you want to be able to drop that rally as quickly as possible. And Joan's buff more handles long-term engagements or multiple fight engagements versus a single point of attack that's causing a significant amount of damage to you. This is a situation as a garrison commander where you want to be more offensive than defensive because you want to lower the troop count of the attacking army so that they do less damage to you. It's kind of your best defense is a good offense kind of situation, especially as a dual epic, because you're not going to be able to out-tank a proper legendary commander-led rally, a T5-led rally to boot. But the faster that you can drop that rally as far as troops go, the better off you're going to be defensively because you're not going to be taking as much damage because the rally is going to have less troops to damage you with. Hopefully that kind of came together for you at the end. So with that in mind, let's go into the skill path or the talent build for Epic. And again, this is going to be for everybody except for Yulji. Even Kusunoki, if you use Kusunoki, this will work as well as primary. So again, you're going to want to go almost fully into the Garrison path. The two things that I did not select in the Garrison path in favor of the extra skill damage from Clarity on the skill path is there's a damage shield for the ultimate talent in the Garrison talent path. The one just to the up and right of it is a march speed buff, which you don't need march speed if you are garrisoning a city. You're not going anywhere. So that last skill is beneficial, but I don't think it's worth an extra 5 points, or even more importantly, I don't think it's worth losing clarity over. So with this build, you have almost all the talents in the Garrison talent tree, and then you also get a ton of rage regeneration, a ton of skill damage, a ton of skill damage reduction with Emblazoned Shield and all the other, or not Emblazoned Shield, Emblazoned Shield is for Cav. Tactical Mastery, which gives you the skill damage, and Heraldic Shield, which reduces the skill damage that you take by 6%. And then again, you also get Clarity, which is going to boost the skill damage even further of what you got going on. So you will be as tanky and as skill damage focused as you possibly can with this talent build. And again, this works with everybody but Yulji. If you use Yulji, it's basically the same idea. You're going to almost go all the way through on the Garrison talent path, and then on the right side, you're going to go towards the attack path, getting Tactical Mastery, Effortless, things like that. Those are the things that you're going to want to get. So this should wrap it up. It's been just almost 30 minutes on this video. That's usually about what all the best of the best guides have turned out to be, because I want to give you a full explanation of all this stuff. I want to make sure you guys understand not only what I'm saying, but why I'm saying it, okay? I want you to understand the why behind the what. That's what I mean when I say that. I want you to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying so that you can apply it based off of your setup, because one, I don't know your setup, and two, everybody's different. They focused on different commanders. They focused on different purposes. I want you to be able to utilize what you have with the knowledge that we just talked about over the last 30 minutes and apply it to your city, okay? I hope you all enjoyed this. Again, this is the final episode of the Best of the Best series. I'm going to put these all in a playlist for you guys if you want to watch them all through again. I'm going to be really starting to focus on my next setup and really putting all the efforts into the Commander Mastery Series guides to finish those all up, especially with Saladin coming out and all these new commanders. I want to get them wrapped up so that we can get started with the new stuff and really start to move forward with the channel. Again, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Please hit that button if you haven't. And I will see y'all next time. Take care. Cheers. Have a good one.